That's right, as if the developers maybe watched from my videos. The F7 is coming to Railroader. Now, I talked about wanting any kind of streamliner without having to run a mod, but an F7 A and B unit works just fine for me. Thank you, Railroader devs. Now let's get into my reaction about the
Hi, I'm Adam, the lead
M.O.W.
developer
update.
of Railroader, the Railroad Operations Simulator for PC. It's currently in early access and available on Steam. Railroader has been out for just over 2 years now, and we're on the verge of releasing our Maintenance of Way update, which we'll be focusing on today. But there's a ton of other
On
good
the
stuff in there,
verge, you
such as
say?
official support for equipment modding. The Maintenance of Way update introduces 2 major new mechanics to Railroader: maintenance of the track that makes up your railroad, and construction of the track, bridges, and tunnels as you expand, if you choose to expand.
And it could be an
We'll start by
interesting
looking
addition.
at how maintenance works, and then we'll get into construction, and finally, some of the challenges you can expect to face to keep your railroad running smoothly. You're probably aware that cars and engines take wear in Railroader. With the Maintenance of Way system, now your track does too. The heavier the traffic and the harder you run on the rails, the more damage they'll take, just like with rolling stock. When the track gets too worn down, it's no longer safe to run at the posted speed limit. You'll see speed restriction signs show up as a warning. These are lower speed limits put in place until the track is repaired.
That'll be an interesting
Exceeding speed
dynamic
restrictions
change.
puts you at a high risk of derailing, just like running too fast on a curve. To keep your railroad in top condition, or just good enough condition not to slow your railroad to a crawl,
Just
you'll
good
need maintenance-of-way
enough.
trains. An M.O.W. train consists of a work car and freight cars of supplies, which you'll need to purchase. Whenever the work car is stopped, the crew looks up and down the nearby right-of-way for track that needs maintenance, and uses the materials in the coupled cars to perform that work. If you've been playing Railroader for a while, you won't be surprised to hear that the auto engineer is an excellent M.O.W. train engineer. With an enabled work car in their train, they'll stop whenever they see track that needs maintenance, maintain the track, and then continue on until they find the next work. Maintenance materials, ties, rail, and ballast, can all be purchased from the interchange, just like fuel and repair parts are today. In order to carry these materials, you'll need gondolas and hoppers, which you can now purchase. Using the inspector on a car...
Well, that's a nice addition. Some more rolling stock you can buy.
And spot the car at the interchange. It'll return, full of that material, in about a day. But the interchange isn't your only option. We're also working on setting up some online sources for materials like ballast and ties. You can even stockpile M.O.W. materials in the M.O.W. yards, for example at East Whittier and Bryson. To do this, you can set the unload destination as the M.O.W. tracks. When you're ready to use the stored materials, set the car's load destination to the M.O.W. tracks. Once it's loaded, couple it up to the work car and send it on its way, or deliver it to the work train that's already out on site. We've included some fun visual indicators of wear, too. Ties start to lose their color and the track is no longer a nice, smooth, curving ribbon. Weeds start to creep up onto the right-of-way after some time, too. You'll be pleased to know we've included game settings to control how much wear your track takes, including the ability to turn off wear completely, and 3 difficulty levels which control how much material...
I mean, that's nice. You can get rid of it completely if you don't want it.
The work car itself has settings for which track it will work, whether it'll work everything nearby, or only track that can be reached via the current switch alignment. Maybe you'd prefer not to bother maintaining that siding or branch line. There's also a setting that controls the track class that the work car will repair to. Speaking of the M.O.W. work cars, there are 2 of them. They have distinct styles, but at the moment they are functionally identical. Another feature of the M.O.W. update is the introduction of track classes. Lower track classes have a lower minimum speed, while higher classes allow for higher speeds. But keep in mind, the safe speed is still limited by the geometry of the track itself. The higher the track class, the more wear and tear the track can take, but it'll take more materials to keep it maintained to this higher standard. You can choose what track class you want the work car to maintain to using the drop-down on its inspector. Let's take the Connolly branch as an example. It's a windy logging branch. Now you could choose to maintain the Connolly branch at Class 1. It'll take fewer materials to maintain, and you don't need to run that fast on it anyway. Alternatively, you could maintain the branch to Class 5. With those curves, you'll never run 80 miles an hour, but with the traffic that line sees, you wouldn't need to maintain it for quite some time.
Life is unpredictable. One thing that isn't? Spectrum fiber-powered internet. It's the most reliable internet you can count on. It's only everything.
The ability to expand your railroad via milestones has been a part of the Railroader gameplay since the beginning. But with the M.O.W. update, the process for completing construction milestones is getting much more immersive. Where before you'd pay a price, the materials would be delivered to the interchange, and then they need to be moved to the worksite, now you'll need to order supplies yourself, such as steel bridge beams, concrete, and wood timbers, and manage a fleet of supply.
Is that better or is that worse? I don't know.
Essentially, the process for construction milestones works the same way as track maintenance. Take an M.O.W. work car and the required supplies to the worksite. The difference is that the track is being built ahead of the work train, which will need to work its way along the line to complete construction. The first construction milestone you'll likely encounter is to rebuild a bridge, which reopens your railroad's connection to Bryson. There are 3 difficulty levels, and you can see here the material requirements for each of them. There's an estimated car count for each material, but the actual number will depend on the size of the rail car you use. You may know that the Railroader map is heavily inspired by the Southern Railway's Murphy Branch, and the company mode milestones are modeled after the elements of its history, including the rebuilding of almost 14 miles of main line between Bryson and Almond. This milestone is not for the faint of heart, and will take a
225 to 463 cars.
But there's a nice reward: the new interchange just north of Almond at McLean. Remember, you'll have to use your own equipment now, so some planning will go a long way in helping you accomplish your goals. The M.O.W. update is by far our biggest update since the initial release of the game. What I like most about the new M.O.W. features is that they make the expansion much more meaningful. There's a lot more to share, but today we wanted to focus on the maintenance of way portion of it.
Hopefully, we'll be jumping into Railroader sometime soon. Hopefully, this update will be out sometime this year. And I hope our one Railroader viewer is still out there watching. But until next time, have a good one.